Hi there, it's Helen Chorley and Amy Rowlinson from Property Sisters. Today we're going to be talking about journaling, but just before we get into that, can you hit that subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up and comment, about what you like or your feedback on what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I asked Amy to do this because she's I was going to say notorious, but I'm much more positive than that. But you've been journaling for years now, right? You're at a huge number.
Yeah, I've been journaling since the 6th of December 2016. So I'm just shy of hitting that 1600 landmark. But it doesn't really mean anything to have these numbers in this case. This is a case where we're not talking about the numbers, Helen, because actually we're talking mostly about words. But it is important for me to just mark how I'm doing that, I've been doing that for a period of time, because, oh my goodness, the growth has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and I really want to hear more about that. I really feel like it's something I could benefit from, just getting all that kind of noise in your head kind of onto the paper. And it's certainly something, and we've got some questions that hopefully I'll get in later from the Property Sisters ladies as well. But I don't know, do you want to tell us about your experience? There's so many places I want to go with this, how to get started, the styles, but yeah, tell us your experience and how you got into it, Amy.
So I started it back in that December 2016. It was at the beginning of my professional property investing career, and I really wanted some help. And I figured that I could help myself by journaling. And what I meant there is I started to write down my challenges, started to write down what it was that I was facing. And by doing so, it made it a whole lot less scary. So I was starting to help myself. And actually, now I know more about journaling, that makes a whole lot of sense why. So, and I'll talk about the why, because that's generally where I tend to take most conversations at some point. But it was triggered by reading a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And his particular framework is lifesavers. And he uses that word savers as a mnemonic, meaning scribing being one of them. And so scribing is all about just writing out, and there's so many different ways. We'll talk about the different styles about how scribing can be really useful. So I took it as a journaling aspect, and I started recording the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, what was going on, but showing the signs of gratitude, but really focusing on what it was I wanted to achieve. So I actually folded in quite a lot of different styles all into one area. And it's only now that I know a lot more about journaling that I've become a lot more specific about how I journal.
That's really interesting. So what I'm hearing is that you can get clarity from it. And actually, it almost sounds kind of therapeutic, just getting all that stuff out. I think that's, kind of why I like it. But I also like that it sounds empowering as well, because you're kind of talking and almost coaching yourself.
Yeah, and the therapeutic aspect is a really important part, because there is a whole journal therapy perspective, and that the benefits of therapy journaling is used by many people in the medical profession purely because it helps people with lots of different elements. So to help people alongside their medical treatments to really come through those difficult times, to help them with trauma, to help them with debilitating diseases or illness. And it's actually had results have shown, sort of various different research has shown that it has positive effects on the immune system, and people who've got asthma, who've got liver disease, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic pelvic pain, and cancer. I mean, there's so many different research elements here. So yes, that there is a therapeutic side to it as well. From my perspective, I just wanted to have a little bit of accountability. I think there was that element of, I was recording an honest reflection of that day. And that then becomes a snapshot in time, because often we sort of look back at things and we can modify our memory. Whereas when you write something down in that moment, it's there in black and white, or in color, as I often sort of have all different colors going on as well. But for me, it was to help remember those smaller moments, and also not sort of denigrate the times where I didn't feel so great, but also, really see what that snapshot showed me. So over time, I can see the growth.
That's absolutely fascinating. How has kind of journaling got this, come to the fore? What's the history there? Can you give us some insight into that, Amy?
Sure. There are so many different ways that sort of writers in particular have used journaling to help them unblock their writer's block and use it as a cathartic process. And actually, there's a great book called The Artist's Way, written by Julia Cameron, which is this book here. And what it is a way of helping people who are creatives, particularly, to unblock those sort of thoughts that they have and how to help them to really become the artist that they're desiring. And they're using this fabulous program. She's got a 12-week program in there, and it's called Morning Pages. And writing in the morning is of benefit for many different reasons, but purely because what's happening is that during the nighttime, your subconscious has just been working all the time. And when you wake up, you are in this really the alpha frequency state. So just before you start writing, just let some thoughts ruminate for a while. Just let yourself really come. It's a bit like a meditative stasis. And I know, you're a big fan of meditation. So it's being in that state where you're just allowing those thoughts to come and then writing. Because what happens is you are connecting different thought processes, and we have so many thoughts that we go through our mind every day, and a lot of those can be negative and a lot of those are repetitive. So in the process of writing, first thing what we're doing is we're giving sort of acknowledging those thoughts, acknowledging those negative thoughts particularly, and getting them out. And then we feel as though we've given them the time that they deserve, and we can move on to much more exciting and pressing things in our day. But it really does make a massive difference. And something that I then do is I sort of, having written those, a few days later, I'll go back and I will look at what I've written and highlight anything that was negative, highlight anything that I could then reframe and change around into a positive statement, and just look at what my sort of self-talk is. And that's essentially what's going on, is that you're getting out the self-talk and then you're reprogramming it, rewiring those thoughts.
I absolutely love that. And reframing, it is so powerful. You mentioned something there about prompts, and I'm just going to check. We had a question here from Alexandra Powell. I'd love to hear about journaling prompts, phrases that we can use to start different types of journaling, such as the stream of consciousness method. Also curious to hear if some people type rather than handwrite, and that's certainly something I'd also like to know about, the different styles. So maybe if you can touch on that for us.
Yeah, so what's really important is when you're writing is not to worry about your handwriting, about your spelling, about any of that. You're not going to censor it. You're just going to write from the heart or from the brain, wherever you're writing from. And because nobody else is looking, this is your personal journal. No, it's not for anyone else at all to ever look at, because it's really important that you have that privacy, you have that space that you're holding for yourself. So some prompts, well, some really simple prompts that can just be, I am, I want, I feel, I do, I have, really basic ones. I understand, and just see what comes thereafter of that, or I love, or I see, just really basic ones. And then you can have some more specific ones. You can be, what do I need to let go of right now? Or what does my most blissful day look like? Or if I'm really honest, ... whatever. I've got so many. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, I can help them with some prompts.
Oh, there's some really good juicy stuff in there, isn't there? Literally, my mind's gone like, oh my God, where could we take this? I imagine actually once you get into it and you start getting that stuff out, then it gets almost kind of addictive, but like in a good way, because
100%. It is just like another form of meditation, and you start to really enjoy it and embrace it. And often on the days when you really don't want to journal, that you're really not feeling it, they're the days that you really should be. And I don't like using the word should. Yeah. I'm just saying I recommend that those are the days that you pick up your pen, because quite often those are the days that you are needing it to do it for yourself the most.
Right. You need to eat that frog.
Indeed. And it could be that you then turn to a prompt that then will sort of take you away from what you're thinking, but then bring you back at some point. So you could be, for example, right, do something a bit exciting. If you're feeling a bit low, think about the best adventure that you've ever been on. Think about the 30 things that most inspire you in life, or how you're feeling right now. Just all different things. There's so many different prompts. So Alexandra, I hope I've given you a few there.
And she kind of mentioned the stream of consciousness, but what other styles are there of...
Oh, there's so many. So let's think. There are a personal journal, which is just a place where you're writing down your emotions. And then you could have a gratitude journal. So things that you're grateful for to boost your self-esteem or your resilience. Bullet journal. Some people like to have lists. They like to have those places they want to visit, or things they want to do, or books they want to read. Dream journal. How about one of those? Writing about your dreams and reflecting on them. And you are your own expert, right? You know you inside and out. You don't need to worry about what a dream professional would say about your dreams. You know, you're more likely to be able to interpret them than somebody else. Maybe you could have, I've talked about the morning pages, so you could have a morning reflection journal, or an evening. Some people don't like doing things in the morning. They might want to reflect in the evening instead about how that day has been. Have they had some clarity today that's helped them? Or goal focused, being really specific about goals and how you can help keep on track with your own sort of focus there. And we've talked about prompts. You could just literally have a prompt journal where you pick up something different every day. So it could be a scrapbook. I mean, I honestly, Helen, I could keep going, but there's so many. I've talked about dialogue. What about a conversation that you've had that day that could trigger a whole thought process of going from there on? And maybe you could create conversations.
So it's so flexible, isn't it? It's and what I'm hearing is there's not a right way to do it. There's nothing to get right. Arguably, that would kind of curtail you a little bit. So if we can give ourselves permission to just express ourselves and get out of it what we want, which will be different for all of us. Like you say, if somebody's goals driven, they might want to use it in that way. And if somebody wants a little bit more kind of introspection, you can use it that way. Really
100%. There is absolutely no right or wrong way at all. It's what's meaningful to you, and it's about your experiences. Because why are you journaling? I mean, this is a critical thing. It's about helping you to reduce your stress levels, for example, problem solve, or keeping you present in the moment. And we all have difficulty in that sometimes. It's really hard to just not worry about the future or worry about what's been done in the past. Just focus on right now and in the moment. So it can be just a doodle, you can be drawing, but that act of having pen and paper, and you asked a question earlier about typing. I do think there's a magical connection that you have with a pen and a piece of paper that makes it so much different. You're connecting. Yeah, I have a pen. Absolutely. So there are many benefits. I've mentioned reducing stress. That's one. It boosts your working memory. Can't be a bad thing. What about your personal empowerment and self-esteem? That's a great sort of benefit there. Increasing your self-knowledge, being more aware about your emotions, being more aware about how you're feeling, about unbottling some of those emotions, getting clarity on problem solving things that have been going on. And your well-being. I mean, it's just, I find it is a massive boost. And even, as I said, doing that conscious journaling where I'm writing out things and then going back a few days later and just highlighting anything that's negative, switching that into positive really helps your self-talk. And the more you do that, the more your self-talk becomes much more positive, and it really helps you. And a big one for you is emotional intelligence. Really helps you to be more empathetic and sensitive to what's going on in different environments. So with that, I guess also comes better communication skills, better interpersonal skills. And yeah, I mean, that's quite a few benefits, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I do a gratitude kind of journal every night. And if I skip that for a few days, I notice the effect. I'll literally be like, I don't know, the day just is that little bit harder to get through. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then when I kind of, work out like, time of the month or not getting enough sleep, and I'm like, not done that journaling for a few days, have you? Like, right, back on it. So we've got some more questions here. Sam Elliot-Smith would like to know, when and how long do you journal, and how do you get into the right frame of mind?
So this is a great question. Again, it comes down to personal choice. There is no right or wrong way. There is no time limit on that you want to set up yourself on this. If you've got 15 minutes, great. If you've got 5, then so be it. But I would highly recommend you find somewhere where you're going to be quiet, undisturbed, and that you find that in a calming environment. Find an environment that is sort of nurturing for you to sort of be really relaxed. And I would leave any computer gadgetry somewhere else. Don't have that with you. So just take your journal with you and a pen and your pen, and just go there. So maybe have your own format that works for you. Maybe put a candle on, a scented candle that gives you that nice sort of mood, or maybe some background music, something that's, takes you to a space. It's right, again, as a similar space as you would have for a meditative status. So yeah, I think that, again, there's no right or wrong. Do what you want, do it when you want, do it how you want.
Yeah, whatever works for you. Oh, it's lovely. Oh, I'm feeling all relaxed thinking about it already.
And one thing I will say is it really helps to date what you're writing, just so that you can see when that happened, you can see that growth, or you can see that progress, and you can reflect back on it. And also, whatever time you do allow to journal, I would always give yourself some moments just to come out of it afterwards, just to give yourself some time. Because if you've been writing about something that's quite emotive, it'd be really nice just for you to sort of reflect on that before resuming daily or your evening activities, whatever it is, whenever you're doing that.
Yeah, transition time. Alison Armstrong talks a lot about that with men, doesn't she? But actually, like, changing from different emotional states, just to give yourself that space. It just feels like it's a really kind of lovely, and certainly like the way you use it. I think how I would like to use it is like me time. It's like almost like sacred space. This is about me and being present and what I want, what I want to get out of it. And that doesn't even need to be the same every day. Got a question here from Dorothy, who she says writing doesn't come kind of naturally to her. She thinks she has to have a topic to write about. So we've talked about prompts, but how can she break that barrier and learn to write freely? Is prompts a good place to start?
It could be. Again, it's a case of not judging yourself. Okay, this is not a competition. This is not about I'm a great scribe here. This is about you putting pen to paper. And if that means that you end up sort of writing, I don't know what I'm writing, I don't know what I'm going to write here, this is not making any sense, and I'm now thinking about what I need to buy later, that just let it all come out, because after a while all of that will filter across and say, well, actually what I really want to say is this. And then you'll start writing things, and it will come easier. It will come easier the more you do.
And it sounds like that helps. There's layers sometimes, isn't there? And once kind of the conscious mind perhaps gets out of the way, then more of that stuff can come up. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if you come in thinking I'm not good at writing, what's going to happen? So just again, reframe that and say, I see the benefit of journaling. I'm really excited about journaling. I'm going to journal because then I'm going to find all these new exciting things out about myself.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, give that a go, Dorothy. And we have one last question from Lara. She's been journaling since she was 11, so she's a fan as well, but she has gaps sometimes. And her question is, how do you deal with the avoidance that happens when you don't have good days? You kind of touched on it already, and that actually those are the best days to try and eat that frog.
Yeah, and again, just don't give yourself a hard time. If you have a gap, so be it. It's not a big deal. Again, nobody is watching, nobody is judging you for this. Journaling is for your own benefit. And when you see the benefit from it, as you said, if you've missed a few days in your gratitude, you notice those knock-on effects. So again, why are you having those bad days? Is it because you are having those gaps? Get back into journaling again when you can, and don't give yourself that hard time.
That is super. It just sounds like such a useful tool and so flexible. So Thank you, Amy. I think we're all going to go and going to buy new pens and new pads and give this a go. So we really appreciate your time. And if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Oh, please do. So easiest way is to go to my website, amyrowlinson.com.
Great, that's super. So yeah, let us know in the comments. Have you tried journaling? Let us know if you start it, how you're getting on. And again, click that subscribe button, give us a like, and press that bell icon for more great content. Thank you so much, Amy.
Pleasure.